If I were to ask you what your largest expense is, what would you say? Well, if you're like most Americans, the response to that would most definitely be housing. Whether you're renting or you're currently paying a mortgage along with property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and tons of other things, you would probably agree that housing is your largest expense. But what if I could tell you that there's a way that you can not only eliminate your mortgage payment, but you can also live for free, and this decision would also help you build wealth in the future. Hi, I'm Ethan Lang, and I'm going to show you something called house hacking. In this video, I'm going to explain house hacking, how it works, the different strategies based on your needs. So make sure to watch to the end because I'll be going through every step of the house hacking process. Before I start, I just wanted to add that a lot of this information is stuff that I recently learned from reading the book, The House Hacking Strategy by Craig Kurlop. And after this video, if you think that house hacking is something for you, I highly recommend reading his entire book. I put the link down in the description just in case you're interested. Okay, so what the heck is house hacking? The most simple form of house hacking is buying a 1 to 4 unit property, you live in one unit and rent out the other units or room to cover your mortgage. While that might sound confusing now, let's try to compare it to the difference between renting, home buying, and house hacking. First, renting. It's pretty simple. You pay a defined amount each month to live in someone else's property. The benefit of renting is it's usually cheaper, you don't have a huge down payment like what you would have with a house. However, the downfall is the money that you're putting towards rent isn't really being saved anywhere like you would be building equity in a home. Second, we have home buying. The benefit of buying a home is when you're paying for a mortgage, some of that money is stored inside the home as a form of equity. So it's kind of like a rent payment, which is unlike rent. However, buying a home is much more expensive than paying rent. You not only have to make a larger down payment, but you have to pay for maintenance, taxes, insurance, and other expenses that don't really come along with renting. Now, third, we have house hacking. House hacking is a mix of the two and offers the benefits of both. I think that it'll be best explained with an example, so let's take one directly from the book. Our imaginary friend Steve buys a duplex for $350,000. With this, he puts a down payment of $12,500 into a property and has a mortgage payment of $2,000. He finds a family to rent out the other side of the unit and then finds a friend to rent out the second bedroom in his unit with him. By doing this, he brings in about $3,000 of rent per month. So the renters are paying off his $2,000 a month mortgage for him and also putting $1,000 per month in his pocket to cover other living expenses. In addition to this, Steve was paying rent of $800 prior to house hacking. So all in all, Steve is saving an additional $1,800 a month that he can put towards investing for retirement. Now, this isn't a part of the book, but let's say that Steve is 30 and puts that $1,800 a month into an index fund until age 65. Assuming a 7% rate of return, he would retire not only with his home paid off, but also with a stock portfolio of over $3.1 million. Now, with this simple example, you can probably see the benefits of house hacking, but it's definitely not for everyone. So here's a few reasons why house hacking might not be for you. Number one, it's going to be more work than traditional home buying or renting. Number two, you're going to be living with or next to neighbors. Number three, you have a bigger down payment, compared to traditional renting. And number four is the potential that your tenants don't pay you rent. However, all of these issues can be minimized and they really pale in comparison to the financial freedom that house hacking can offer you. Now, when I started learning about wealth building, I stumbled across house hacking, but I only thought of it in the traditional sense as explained previously. However, after reading Craig's book, I realized that there were so many other strategies. Sadly, I don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so we're just going to stick to the traditional house hacking for now. But if you want to learn those other strategies, I highly recommend picking up a copy of that book. My goal by the end of this video will be for you to understand the entire process of house hacking so you can start on the road towards house hacking your first property. Step number one, education. Luckily for you, this is what we're doing right now. We're talking about how you can make house hacking work for you, but the more you educate yourself, the less likely you're going to have mistakes going forward. Not only do you have to educate yourself on house hacking, but also real estate investing in general. Remember that this is not just a home purchase. You're buying a home not because you like the wood floors or it has a new kitchen. You're buying it because it can be profitable and rentable. This is an investment that should be treated as such. A great place for this education is BiggerPockets, and it's one of the largest real estate education communities out there. You'll need to understand things like, how do I best finance this deal? How do I find a good real estate agent? How do I manage a property? How do I analyze a property? And so much more. So once you've got the education down, what's next? Well, step number 2 is finding and analyzing deals. So we're going to go through analyzing a deal just to help you out with the process, because education is great, don't get me wrong. But if you're just educating yourself and not looking for deals, you're giving up your greatest asset, which is time. If you're familiar with analyzing traditional real estate, it pretty much works in the same way. However, you have to consider that you will also be living in the property yourself. For this reason, the numbers might not be as good as a traditional renter property because you are, as I mentioned before, living in one of the units or rooms, and that is completely okay. The reason that it's okay is because you're not only making money from tenants and they're paying you rent, but you're also saving money because you won't have to rent or make a mortgage payment every single month. The reason house hacking is so powerful is that you're able to increase your income and eliminate your largest expense with just one decision. Okay, back to analyzing deals. There are a few things you need to understand when analyzing deals. And while it might just be the basics for some of you, just listen up. The basics of analyzing a rental deal is as simple as this formula. Income minus expenses equals profit. However, since we're house hacking, this looks a little bit different. What do you really consider income when house hacking? Well, you can really make money in a few ways which all stem from rent payments. Number 1 is principal paydown. Because your tenants cover your mortgage, you're making money based on the amount of principal that's paid down on the loan every single month. When you pay off a mortgage, you pay off a little bit of principal and a little bit of interest every single month. As that loan progresses, you start to pay down more principal each month and less interest each month with keeping the same monthly payment. With this income, it isn't cash in your pocket, but we're still going to consider it income. Number 2 is cash flow. Once you make your mortgage payment, or after your tenants pay it, I might say, the additional cash that goes immediately into your pocket is considered cash flow. This is money that's in your pocket and you can do with it whatever you want. You can reinvest the money, you can buy a car, whatever. Now, number 3 is rental or mortgage savings. Now, this is a type of income that really isn't taxed as income, but we're going to consider it income for the sake of this example. If you weren't house hacking, you'd be stuck with a mortgage payment or a rent payment. However, as I mentioned before, if you're house hacking, your tenants are paying that mortgage for you. So if you were paying $1,000 a month for rent, you'd be saving $1,000 a month by not having to pay rent. With these 3 types of income, house hacking allows you to live for free while having someone else pay down your mortgage, and you might get some extra money in your pocket every single month. Now that we've talked about income, let's look at expenses. The first type of expenses come from an acronym which is PITI, and it stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. As we mentioned before, principal and interest are payments that go inside your mortgage payment. After that, you might have property taxes as well as home insurance. In addition, you might have to pay private and mortgage insurance if you put down anything under 20% on a home. The second type of expense is having cash reserves. Well, this isn't necessarily an expense that you're forced to pay. It's something that you should set aside for when those expenses actually do come. The amount you will save will be dependent on the age of the property, the condition of the property, and other things. So this money is basically going to be used for maybe you'll need a new roof, a pipe bursts, you need a new water heater, whatever it is. The property isn't getting any newer, so you have to make sure to save some of those expenses because they shouldn't be surprises when they come up. Lastly, we have utilities and other minor expenses. Normally, when you have a property rented out, you can either make the tenants pay for their own utilities or you can increase the rent payment and pay those yourself. It really depends on your situation. So now that we've talked about income and expenses of a house hack, let's actually analyze a property. I'm going to make this a fictional property so that we can look through it together. Let's say you have a home for $300,000. The first thing we need to do is look at what we could get the property to rent for. Now, this is highly dependent on your area and what type of house you're buying, but there's many online resources that you could find this, and if you have a real estate agent and you're looking at homes with, they could surely give you an estimate. For the sake of this example, let's say the rent for this duplex is $2,000 on one side, and then you can get a friend to rent out one of the rooms on the other side to bring you in $2,500 total. After that, we need to figure out the mortgage payment. All you have to do is use a mortgage or amortization calculator, which I linked in the description, and you can use one of those. All you have to do is put in the loan amount, loan term, interest rate, and a few other factors. For this example, we're putting 3.5% down, which is $10,500, and our interest rate on the loan is going to be 3%. This means that our mortgage balance is $289,500, which is basically that $300,000 minus our down payment of $10,500. Our monthly mortgage payment's now $1,221 based on our calculations. Additionally, we might pay about an extra $150 for private mortgage insurance because in this example, we're putting down less than 20%. After that, we'll need to find our taxes and insurance, and for the sake of this example, let's just say it's additional $500 per month. On top of this, since the property is fairly new, in our assumption, we're going to save about $250 a month for cash reserves. Additionally, we're going to assume that our tenants also pay their own utilities. Okay, I know that was a lot, but let's try to put this all together real quick. So we have rental income of $2,500 minus our mortgage payment of $1,221 and our PMI of $150. After that, we subtract our $500 for insurance and taxes, another $250 for cash reserves. After all those are subtracted, we come out with an amount of $379 in cash flow every single month. While that might not seem like a lot, think about all the other types of income we mentioned before. In the first month of the mortgage, you will make an additional $496 in principal paydown, and that number of principal paydown only increases from there. On top of this, let's say if you wouldn't have bought this house, you'd be paying or renting $800 a month. This is an additional $800 a month in savings. All in all, this one house hacking decision has allowed you to make/save an additional $1,675 every single month. Now that we're done analyzing the property, it's time to make an offer on the property and see if we can't get the ball rolling and make this thing happen. Step number 3, get pre-approved and make an offer. It's normally smart to get pre-approved before you make a property you want to buy or even before you start analyzing properties. So if you're in the market for a house hack, make sure to check and get pre-approved right away. Now, this step is kind of a scary step in the process because you're actually going to buy your first investment property. However, if you're confident in your analyzation of the property, there's really nothing to worry about. Understand that just because you make an offer doesn't mean you're going to get this property, but you need to remember that there are tons of good properties out there. Don't pay too much for a house just because you feel like you need the deal. You need to be patient. Once you get this offer accepted, it's time to close on the home, and that's when things really get started. Step number 4, get renters and bring in the dough. It's pretty simple and straightforward from here. It's time to find renters, get them in the property, and then you can start making money and bringing your way towards financial freedom. So before I end this video, I just want to say that the purpose of this video was to simplify house hacking so you could understand it, understand the benefits of it, and kind of understand the process of it. House hacking is a big and smart decision to say the least, so if you want to take this one, I highly recommend doing more education on top of just this video. The 2 resources that I can point you towards are the book, as I mentioned before, The House Hacking Strategy by Craig Kurlop, and biggerpockets.com. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed so others can see it. Save it for later so you can watch again, and comment below if you have any questions because I will make sure to answer them. That's a wrap for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time.